During the Second World War, military engineers were forced to work with what they had, not what they wanted. The front lines were often far from supply depots, and standard-issue tarps and ponchos were in short supply. Soldiers in the field needed waterproof gear, not just for marching through storms, but for sleeping, covering supplies and keeping wounded men dry. Canvas and oilskin were reserved for critical uses, leaving most troops exposed to the elements. That's when a small group of engineers began experimenting with the most overlooked material in their camps, the flour sack. These sacks, made of tightly woven cotton or linen, were everywhere. They came in with rations, medical supplies, and grain shipments. Engineers realized that, with a bit of chemistry and patience, these sacks could be transformed into weatherproof sheets, capable of repelling rain and drying fast enough to reuse the next day. This discovery was a turning point in field improvisation, creating waterproof blankets and ground cloths from something as ordinary as food packaging. The process relied on a clever mix of oil, starch, and heat. The principle behind this transformation was simple but ingenious. Cotton fibers naturally absorb moisture, but once coated with the right compounds, they can be made to repel it. Field engineers began treating flour sack cloth with a homemade emulsion of vegetable oil and starch paste. The starch acted as a carrier, bonding the oil to the fibers, while the oil itself created a thin, water-resistant layer. Once dried and cured, the fabric became both flexible and resistant to soaking. The process was straightforward enough that any unit could replicate it with minimal supplies. The engineers first boiled flour and water together, creating a thick starch slurry, similar to paste used in old bookbinding or wallpapering. Into this mixture they slowly stirred a small amount of linseed oil, whale oil, or even salvaged cooking grease. The goal was to create a uniform coating that could be brushed onto fabric. Each flour sack was spread flat and treated evenly on both sides, then hung over a low fire or in direct sunlight to cure. Once dry, it stiffened slightly, becoming slick to the touch. Water rolled right off it. Soldiers found dozens of uses for the treated cloth in the field. What began as a shelter fix soon turned into one of the most versatile pieces of improvised gear in the war. Troops used these oil-starched sheets as bedroll covers, wrapping their wool blanket inside to keep them from getting damp. Others stitched two together to make ponchos or lightweight capes that could handle days of drizzle. Engineers used larger ones to protect ammunition crates and radio equipment. The material's most surprising feature was its reusability. Unlike tarred cloth or waxed canvas, it could be washed gently and retreated without losing its integrity. Contemporary reports from field manuals mention soldiers in Italy and the Balkans using these treated sacks as makeshift tents, sleeping directly beneath them on wet ground. When paired with dry grass or straw beneath, the treated cloth prevented moisture from wicking upward. Some even lined the inside of trench coats with the fabric, creating a crude but effective waterproof lining. The chemistry behind it made the trick surprisingly durable. What made this field innovation endure was the way oil and starch interacted at the molecular level. When the starchy paste was heated and applied, it opened the pores of the cotton fibers. The oil molecules, suspended in the paste, penetrated deep into the weave. As the fabric dried, the oil oxidized and hardened, sealing those pores from within. The starch residue added body and texture, making the cloth slightly stiffer, but also less prone to stretching when wet. The result was a thin, breathable barrier, resistant to both water and mildew. This process worked especially well in temperate and humid climates, where soldiers couldn't afford to carry heavy gear. You know, while wax cloths could become sticky or even crack in heat, the oil starch treatment remained smooth and flexible. Engineers found that periodically reapplying a light coat of oil to the fabric, usually every few months, kept it effective throughout those long campaigns. Quite clever, isn't it? For those interested in historical survival methods or sustainable waterproofing, this old engineer's recipe still works remarkably well. To reproduce it, start with natural fibre fabric. Cotton canvas, muslin or linen are ideal. Boil a mixture of 1 part flour to 4 parts water until it thickens into a paste. Then remove it from heat and let it cool slightly. Slowly stir in a small amount of vegetable oil or boiled linseed oil, about 1/4 cup per litre of paste, until it emulsifies. Spread the fabric out flat, then apply the mixture evenly using a brush or sponge, pressing it into the weave. It's like bringing a piece of history back to life, isn't it? Hang the treated cloth in a warm, dry place or near a low fire to cure. Once dry, the surface will feel slightly waxy. Test it by sprinkling a few drops of water on top. If it beads up and rolls away, the treatment worked. For outdoor gear, apply a second coat for better durability. This simple wartime process can turn old pillowcases, drop cloths or flour sacks into waterproof covers for camping, gardening or homestead storage. A true testament to ingenuity, wouldn't you say? The beauty of this method lies in its renewability. When the waterproofing begins to fade, the same mixture can be reapplied. No synthetic sprays, no chemical solvents, just the same ingredients soldiers used when every resource counted. What began as an act of wartime necessity became an enduring example of practical engineering. The oil starch treatment was renewable, biodegradable, and infinitely repairable. When cracks or wear appeared, soldiers simply brushed on more of the mixture. Modern synthetics, polytarps, vinyl covers, and nylon coatings break down over time under sunlight and can't be patched easily. The World War II flour sack method, on the other hand, was meant to be maintained, not replaced. More than a survival trick, it represented the mindset of an era when every ounce of material was precious. Engineers were problem solvers, not consumers. They used chemistry, not convenience. The result was gear that could endure months in the field without failure. It's no wonder many post-war farmers and craftsmen adopted the same method for outdoor storage, hay covers, and tool wraps. For today's survivalists, reenactors, or history enthusiasts, recreating this process offers a tangible connection to the ingenuity of the past. It's a skill that bridges history and practicality, showing how necessity forged durable solutions that modern manufacturing often overlooks. For more forgotten field innovations and the wartime ingenuity that shaped modern survival methods, subscribe to In the Beginning and share this video with others who value history that still works. The soldiers who made waterproof blankets from flour sacks proved one simple truth. In the field, resourcefulness will always outlast supply.